Okay, so this is for homework 1-1, so Unit 1, Lesson 1. I have 3 problems I'm going to do. I'm going to work on number 2, number 5, and then number 6. These were the 3 most missed questions for this homework assignment. If you have other questions on this assignment, you will need to come to tutoring to get them answered. Okay, so let's go ahead and get started. So number 2 starts off with x plus y equals xy. Okay, and then as I alluded to in class, there are a couple things. So we need to remember our factoring rules with greatest common factors. Okay, but before we can do that, if we're solving for x, which we are in this case, we need to have all our x's on the same side. Okay, we have all our x's on the same side. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to move this term over here, okay, by subtracting it. So I'm going to subtract xy from both sides. Okay, so I've got x minus xy. I've still got the plus y equals, now it's not blank over here, guys. When you take away everything, there's nothing left, so it's 0. Okay. Now I have this y here. I'm going to get rid of that, so I'm going to subtract y from both sides. So I've got x minus xy equals negative y. Okay. Now once I have all my x's on the same side, which you can see here, here's 1x and here's the other one. Okay. These are factors inside my terms. Okay, they're factors. And since they are factors, I can factor them out. Okay, so if I factor out x from both terms, for my first term, x divided by x leaves me with a 1. For my second term, x divided by x leaves me with 1y. Or xy divided by x leaves me with y. Okay, equals negative y. Alright, now that I have my x factored out, okay, here it is, I have it factored out, I have x times this quantity 1 minus y, okay? So this is multiplication, so I can do the inverse, which is division. I can divide both sides by 1 minus y. Okay, so this takes care of this term, and then what I end up with, my result, okay, is going to be x equals negative y over 1 minus y. Okay, and that is number 2. Alright? Alright, so the next problem is number 5. Okay, so number 5 is a little trickier. Okay, 5 is x over a equals x over b minus 1. Okay, and again on this one we're solving for x. Okay, we're solving for x. So since I have these denominators here, okay, I don't need them. I need to get rid of them. So since I have these denominators, I'm going to multiply this entire equation by the common denominator, which for this case is AB. Okay. Now anything that I'm multiplying up here that I have in my denominator is going to kind of cancel out. Okay, so if you want to think about it like this, I'm going to end up with this: x a times b over a equals x a b over b minus 1 times ab is just ab. Okay, alright, so here we go. This is kind of the long way. So I have a divided by a, so a's cancel out. I have b divided by b, so b's cancel out, and then everything else just kind of stays the same. Okay, so what I have left is xb equals xa minus ab. Alright? Now, because of the last problem, you may find it tempting to factor out a here, but don't do that, because remember, we're solving for x. Okay, so we don't need that factored out just yet. So again, I have x terms on both sides, so I'm going to get all of my x terms together on one side. So I'm going to subtract ax or xa from both sides. So I've got xb minus xa equals negative AB. All right. Now these two have a common factor of x, so I'm going to factor them out. And when I factor them out, I'm left with b and a equals negative AB. And then very similar, you're going to notice like there's a pattern for all of these, okay? And very similar to the last one, I'm going to divide by b minus a on both sides. B minus a. So this is canceled, this is canceled. So finally, I end up with x equals negative AB over b minus a. Okay? All right, so that was number 5. Okay. So, number 6 is the other one I'm going to do. And this will be the last one. Okay. So number 6 is y times x plus z equals 3z times x plus y. Alright? So the first thing here that I'm going to want to do, because I need to get at these x's, I'm solving for x, and they're in parentheses, and I'm going to have to distribute. Okay? I could divide off y and 3z, but it's just going to make a mess of things. So I'm going to go ahead and distribute. So I've got yx plus yz equals 3zx plus 3zy. Okay. Typically the variables go in alphabetical order, but I'm just going to leave them alone for right now for confusion's sake. Okay. Alright, so the next thing, I want to get all my x terms to one side and all my other stuff to the other side. So here we go. So this is other stuff. So I'm going to subtract this. Okay. And then I'm also going to subtract 3zx. So 3zx. Alright. I'm kind of doing this all in one step, so just hang with me. Okay. So I got yx minus 3zx equals 3zy minus yz. Alright. So now I've got my x terms on one side, so I factor out my x, and I'm left with y minus 3z equals 3zy minus yz. And then very similar to the last couple problems, I divide by my factor of y minus 3z, divide by y minus 3z. Okay. This cancels. And what am I left with? Well, I'm left with x equals 3zy minus yz divided by y minus 3z. Okay, and if you notice up top here, we have y's in both these terms, so technically we should factor out the y's. So we should have y times 3z minus z. Oh, we have, oh, my bad, let me back up. We have y's and z's. Okay, we have y's and z's. Y's and z's. So we need to simplify this. So this is 3zy minus yz, which these are the same. Zy and yz are the same. So this is 2zy over y minus 3z. I apologize for that, guys. It's a little late at night for me. So, okay. All right. If you have any further questions, please come to tutoring. Okay, I recommend you write down your questions right now. All right. Have a good night.